Okay, so let's get started. This is welcome everybody. I think I know everybody. I'm Homer Schwartz, President of the U.S. Lacrosse Chapter, Potomac Chapter. Hey! Welcome to our 9th annual Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We've inducted 54 people into the Potomac Chapter Hall of Fame. And every year it gets better. And it's a great place to have it. So first I want to thank a couple of key people. Pat Dillon, Pat McCardle, chairs of our selection committee who do all the work on picking the candidates. Our host, Tristan Zaya, sitting in the back with his lovely wife, Sarah, who's driving the video. And Brother Tom, who's escaped. I don't know where he went. And then the people, the programs that are there and the posters are all made by Sunder Printing. They're just great. I mean, we were giving them stuff yesterday morning to make the posters. And it turns out great. And then, of course, at Premium Distributors, who donate the beer. And then Sarah, who figured out a way to get us some wine. Yeah. So next, let me introduce a couple of special guests. Susie, I'm going to introduce you. Sarah, you too. From U.S. Lacrosse, Susie Wittich and Sarah Noon. Sarah's a managing director of membership, and Susie's a foundation president, right?
President, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Stand up. Sorry. Great folks to work with. And we'll see a lot of them, I hope. And you saw the Tia Wharton Trophy out there, so U.S. Lacrosse and the University Club are now having a tie-in on the Tia Wharton Trophy, so it'll get done right from here on out. I'm sure of that. Okay. Just a couple of mentions. Lacrosse, as you know, is the fastest growing sport percentage-wise in the world. We do a participation survey every year in the Potomac chapter, which is the greater Washington, D.C. area, which goes from southern Maryland to the district, Montgomery County, Fairfax County, Stafford County, Northwest Virginia. This year we have over 40,000 people either playing, coaching, umpiring, officiating, refereeing in one form or the other. About 10 years ago there were 5. In 2009, there were 30,000. So we're going from 30,000 to 40,000, and it keeps going. So thanks to everybody for coming. It's a great event. We have a great time. And we also had a great golf outing. I'll show you a video that my wife did of that. It's fantastic. But we had a ball. We're going to do it again at the University of Maryland. I hope you'll come. So with that, let's get started on the ceremony. So you don't get stuck here listening to me tell stories all night long. And we'll introduce the candidates. The first thing we do, we lost a couple of great people. A good friend of mine, and a good friend of Pat's, and a good friend of everybody in the lacrosse world here. So Tom Shekels died, it's 10 years now. And so we created an award that we give to the referees who are outstanding and perform in Tom's vision of the game. Tom, remember, founded lacrosse in this area. He was the bulwark, the guy who started it all with guys like Bruce, Pat McCardle, and all the, well, I can't name them all. They're all not as old as I am, but they were there before me. Okay. So this year, for the Shekels Award, we call it, and it's in your program. We didn't do, last year, we had some snow problems. We had the snow of the year the night of our Hall of Fame, so we moved it from February to October. So we thought we'd try this year in October, and I think we're going to go back to February because there's just too many homecomings and football conflicts and all this stuff going on. So we'll take our chances with the snow and get a snow date and go back to February. But we didn't get a chance to award the 2010 winner. So I want to call up Mike Highland and Reed Highland. Come on up. And where's Dash? Here he comes. Dash. So Dash DeShields is the current president of the Potomac Lacrosse Officials Association. And you can read the name or the words that what they've done. Mike Highland, senior referee, and his son Reed Highland, junior referee, our first father and son combination. So they were the 2010 winners. Mike is one of the best referees in the country and the world. And in fact, he did the World Games in England 2 years ago? Last summer, 1 year ago. And Reed is now at Drexel. At least he didn't go to the Air Force before that. I never knew you went to the Air Force. Okay. So now let's move on to 2011. Again, we have an adult referee, and since we've started training high school junior referees, we've created an award for them. So this year, the adult winner is Nish Patel. I got a phone call and email from Nish, and his wife's mom is very ill, and they had to leave to go to South Carolina today. So if you all would keep them in your thoughts and prayers. I'm not sure what is going on down there, but I'll find out. But they had to pass on being here. So the junior or student referees, we had two winners, Jesse and Justin Cole. Now, they both go to West Virginia. So Jesse and Justin's mom and dad are here to accept the award. So Hillary, and where are they? Here they come. Thank you, Dash. So we're going to keep the ceremony moving along. We used to have somebody introduce each inductee. Yeah, we will. But first I have to tell another story. And it took forever. So now you got to listen to Pat and me. So I'm going to bring up next Pat Dillon, who's going to do the Madeline Curlin Award presentations. Pat?
Homer and I do the tag team thing up here. As Homer mentioned, the Men's Referees Award is named for Tom Shekels, who was a good friend of Homer's and a lot of the male officials here in the area. The Women's Umpire Award is given in honor of a very good dear friend of mine, Madeline Curlin. I still get choked up when I have to come up here and talk about her. It hasn't been that long since we lost her, and Madeline was, boy, she was a year younger than I was when she passed and only in her mid-50s. So lost a really good friend way, way, way too soon. So we've named the umpiring award in her honor, and it's not necessarily for the most excellent official. It's really to honor somebody who gives service to the game, who has fun with the game, and gives back to the sport of lacrosse. So the adult winner this year unfortunately couldn't be here. She had already had a trip planned. Her name is Kathy Russo. You can read about her in the program. Kathy is a real go-getter, and we're very, very lucky to have her in our officiating ranks. She's one who heads the junior umpire program and trains all our high school students in Northern Virginia, has trained hundreds of young girls, and if any of you have kids, teenagers, you know how difficult it is to deal with 2 or 3. Kathy deals with 75 or 80 girls on a regular basis and scheduling all of their games and things. So we're very lucky to have Kathy officiating with us and running that junior program. So she's the 2011 Madeline Curlin Award winner on the adult side. And Margaret, I'm going to let you take her award for her, okay? Our junior umpire winner is a young woman named Nikki Yohe. Nikki started with us a few years back. She's at West Springfield, is that right? Okay, I want to get that right. Nikki started playing way back when. I think the girls wanted her dad to coach, so they said to Nikki, okay, you're in the 2nd grade, but you can come and be on the team with us, because we need a coach. But the rest is history. She's been a great player for all of the club teams she's played on and at West Springfield. And as Kathy mentioned to me when I asked, give me some information about Nikki so I know what to say when I get up here. She said Nikki was one who was always the first one to answer emails when there was a problem with scheduling, last-minute cancellations and things like that. Nikki was always the one who would answer Kathy first. And as Kathy said, she was an assigner's dream. So we're very proud to give the Madeline Curlin Award for the junior umpire this year to Nikki Yohe. And Margaret Kondracki. Margaret's our local umpiring board chair, and she's going to present the award to Nikki. Right? No, I don't want to get in there. I don't need my picture taken. Okay. All right. I'm going to step in Homer's shoes here a little bit and mention we would like to acknowledge the past Hall of Famers who are here. If you've seen us walking around, we're the ones with the little name tags. We're not the waiters and waitresses, although they have name tags similar to ours. But so I'm going to go through the list real quick here before we bring Homer back up. From the class of 2004, Kathy Jenkins, over on this side of the room. Rob Boardley has signed up, but I haven't seen Rob. And then me. Okay, from the class of 2005, we have Susan Merritt. All right, and Tom Tufts, where are you, Tom? There he is. Okay, and the first Urick in the family to be inducted, we have Dave Urick. Okay, from the class of 2006, we have Elaine Knobloch over here. We have Tristan Zaya in the back. And Cindy Timshaw was here. I think I saw her scooting down the stairs, so I don't know. Cindy was here from class of 2006. 2007, we have Homer. 2008 in the back, we have Patrick Stewart. And class of 2009, we have Tom McHugh. And Kathy Reese. Okay. Now, I hope I didn't forget anybody. No? Okay. All right. You're first. Okay. Homer will start with one of the guys. We're not going in any kind of alphabetical order or anything, so we're going to keep everybody guessing. So, Homer, you're first. Leave that up there.
Actually, I had to warn the first guy, because it's tough to be first. The first inductee this year is Andy Taibl. Sitting right down here. Andy, as all you can read about it in the program, I'm not going to tell you all about that. He's one of the greatest players, goalie-wise, ever to come out of this area or any area. He was the C. Markland Kelly Award winner as the goalie of the year. And then he won a Division III national championship. And then he since has come back to coach at St. Stephen's St. Agnes and has taken them to 2 IAC championship finals. I referee, whereas Dave Urick says I don't get to the center line very often, but I used to. And he's a pleasure. He's a true gentleman. Has a lot of compassion for the kids, and they all love him, and he's a great coach. Although I don't understand why a goalie warms up the goalie, because he can't shoot with a crap. So I have one Andy Taibl story. I have a story about everybody, but I can't tell them all here. So one game, and this isn't, it really isn't about Andy, but they're in the it's about Andy's team. So they're playing a team called Collegiate, which is from Richmond. And then Collegiate was coached by a fellow named Scott Corrigan. Remember Scott? So Scott's dad was George Corrigan, a great player at Maryland, one of the greatest attackmen ever to play there. George and I met in Chicago when we started the Chicago Lacrosse Club. So we're playing a game, and it was, I don't know, was it the Tilt then, the independent Virginia lacrosse team? Now it's the Virginia Independent School League. So anyway, the game's going on. Scott's not real happy. And after the game, I go over to shake his hand. He won't shake my hand. He doesn't remember me, but I remember him. So I call up George and say, George, what's wrong with your son? I go over to shake his hand. He won't shake my hand. Just because he was only 3 months old when I met him doesn't make any difference. But great coach, great teams, and a great inductee in their whole. One of the first. Now we're starting to get great players that we can recognize, as well as the people who were the bedrock of starting lacrosse in this area. We have several of each tonight. So let me bring up Andy Taibl. Andy.
Thank you, Homer. I appreciate it. I will be brief, I promise. After reading the program and the induction stuff, I think I found a flaw in the Potomac Tractors selection stuff because I have very little idea what I'm doing up here, but it's certainly an honor to be next to you, everyone. And Homer, you know, I'm not going to lie to you, it briefly crossed my mind that he officiates a lot of our games. And I thought this might be the perfect venue to get some answers to some of the calls that you've made over the years. Just trying to put my boys in a position to win, and I think sometimes you get in the way of that. So, but I'm certainly, obviously, very appreciative of the Potomac chapter, the Hall of Fame selection committee. It's a tremendous honor, and you know, it's actually very interesting when you get an opportunity to do something like this. For me personally, I don't really very often look back on growing up and playing. I'm kind of a, you know, just one of those guys who felt like just tremendously blessed to have an opportunity to play for great coaches with great friends and teammates, and kind of looking forward. So these things to me are very, very humbling. And I certainly appreciate it very much. First, Coach Tufts is here, and Scotty Urick and I were talking about it. Probably the greatest coach you could ask for as a player growing up and trying to learn the game and learn how to be a good young man and live your life the right way and do the right things. I think we were very, very fortunate to have a man like Coach Tufts guide us in that direction. And I think that for me was pretty much laid the foundation for what I was doing. And he also did a great job as a coach, obviously, in terms of putting us in a position to be successful. And he made it very clear to me my role as a team. Being a goalie, I learned early that your job, you can look at it, it can be easy or it can be difficult. I was always very, very fortunate to be surrounded with teammates like Scott and many others who were tremendously talented. So my job was kind of hang in the back. Don't screw things up too much for what we're trying to accomplish as a team. And on the rare occasion where you know, they're entitled to make a mistake, do your job and make up for and fill, you know, step up when they need you. So I learned that early, and that's actually kind of, you know, the approach I took to playing. Is I was always just felt like I was very, very fortunate to be surrounded by great coaches, great players who, you know, were kind enough to give me an opportunity to step in there. And you know, beyond that, it was just don't screw it up for the rest of them. So, and it worked out pretty well. Obviously, some people, you know, I need to thank, and then I'll get out of here. First, my parents, of course. They're here this evening. Mom actually made everything, I think every game I ever played, so I greatly appreciate that. And that's but all their love and support and for raising us, my brother and I, the way they did, and really just gave us an opportunity to always pursue and follow the dreams that we wanted to follow, and they were always there to enable us to do that. My brother, Dave, who is here as well, he introduced me to the game of lacrosse. Mom didn't want me playing. I think it was like 4th or 5th grade, and then she didn't let me start playing until 7th grade. But she would allow my brother, who is 5 years older, and his friends to shoot on me in 5th grade. Somehow she thought that was safer than playing 5th grade lacrosse with my peers. But it did, and taught me how to try to get out of the way quickly. As I said, coaches and all the coaches had an opportunity to play for, both in high school and college. The friendships that I've been able to foster through the game of lacrosse have meant a great deal. And now Mrs. Holden, Miss Joan Holden, who is here this evening, I greatly appreciate that. She's the head of St. Stephen's, St. Agnes, where I presently work, and has given me an opportunity to coach that program there. And I'm very thankful for that. It has been a true blessing to have an opportunity to give back to a sport that has given so much to me. So I'm very thankful for that. And then probably most importantly, my wife, who fortunately didn't know me when I played, which is better for me. And just being around her makes me a better person, makes me want to be a better man. And we just recently had our first child, and she is the greatest mother I could ever ask for. So I just, once again, I find myself not trying to screw things up too much. So, and I'd like to congratulate all the other inductees and their families. It is certainly an honor to just be mentioned alongside all of you. And certainly I do feel like as a goalie, you're only as good as the players that surround you. And I think that's oftentimes where you have your success. So a recognition like this is certainly a testament to all those guys who I played with all through my career, and I'm very thankful for that. So thank you very much.
Plaque up so you can see it. Yeah. You gotta hold it down so it doesn't reflect in the camera.
You've done this before.
Yeah.
Thanks, Noel.
Thanks. Congratulations, Andy. Okay, I'm gonna bring Pat back up for the next inductee.
Okay, well, we know it's going to be Quinn or Sophie. I haven't had any money come my way, so I get to pick who goes next. Okay, the theme is to try and keep things simple. So we're going to keep it simple with our next inductee. National champion, world champion, all tournament, all American, all world. Ladies and gentlemen, no. I have more to say about Quinn Carney. Quinn played her high school lacrosse in New Jersey at a time when the area where she grew up was not really considered a hotbed of women's lacrosse. But she was a very talented player, and she caught the eye of the coaches at the University of Maryland, thankfully for them. I talked to Cindy Timshaw, and Cindy tells me that she has one vivid memory of Quinn's recruiting visit to the University of Maryland. Cindy, Quinn, and Gary Gate, and now there's a lineup to go out to eat with. Quinn, Cindy, and Gary Gate go out to Applebee's to, talk and get to know Quinn a little bit. And Cindy's vivid memory of Quinn is that she liked to eat a lot, which Cindy thought was a very good thing. And so, according to reliable other sources that I've talked to, they said that, that love of eating has carried over for Quinny's entire career, that she used to have a pregame meal almost right up until game time. So, obviously, it was the right thing for her. So, I have to laugh because tonight I was in visiting at Quinn's table, and I'm making sure everybody's eating and having a good time and whatever. I said, now, did you all had enough to eat, right? Oh, yeah, we're fine. We're full. We've had a lot to eat. We're fine. Quinn pipes up, I think I'm going to go back and get some more food. Like, she must have seen my speech. Anyway, Quinn was part of one of the most talented tandems in all of women's collegiate lacrosse. If you follow the game, you know that Quinn played with Jen Adams, who was arguably probably the most talented collegiate women's player ever. I think of them as the Thelma and Louise of their day. They just really clicked together on the field as players and as teammates. They were just fantastic. And I have a very clear memory of watching the national championship in 2000, and I think it was up at College of New Jersey. And my memory is not so much of Jen, even though she set the single game scoring record during that game. But my memory is of Quinn, who was calmly standing behind the goal at either end and feeding one great pass after another to Jen Adams, who buried every shot that Quinn hit her with. It was a fantastic performance and just one of the early memories that I have of lacrosse and of Quinn. Quinn followed a long line of quality players at the center position at Maryland. People like Sasha Newmarsh and Kelly Amante. But she really raised the bar when she came to Maryland. She was a dominant player and dominant center and midfielder, and I can remember watching Quinn play and marveling at how she seemed to manage to grab every draw that she took. She had a long, long reach with one hand on the stick, and she would snag that ball out of the air almost every time she took the draw. It was quite something to see. And when she got the ball, she knew exactly what to do with it. She was innovative, she was creative, and she was one of the best finishers in the game. And it's no wonder that she and her team won the national championship every year she played at the University of Maryland. 4 straight years winning that national championship. It was amazing. So it's my privilege tonight to present a truly great player and person, nice friend of mine, even though we're umpire and coach, for induction tonight into the Potomac Chapter Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Quinn Carney.
I also ate at halftime. That's actually true. So thanks for that. That is pretty much everyone who knows me, that's their memory of me. Hi. What an unbelievable honor. I'm really humbled to be named in this class of inductees. You're all amazing people, and thank you so much for your contributions to lacrosse. And of course, a special thank you to the Potomac chapter of U.S. Lacrosse for recognizing me for this honor. I am really flattered to be here tonight. Pat, that was really nice. That was too nice. Thank you so much. Those are really kind words. Honors like this are funny to me because it's not like tennis or swimming where you're like the only one out there doing things. While I worked really hard to be the best I could be, I also feel like I was given everything I needed to succeed. I had the most supportive parents on earth. I had the best coaches from the time I was in 6th grade all the way through my U.S. years. And some of the best players, literally the best players in the world from all world teams, were all of my teammates. Everyone around me made me who I am, and this is for them. I can't go on without thanking the coaches that made me the player and the person I am. They aren't all here, but I have to thank my middle school coaches, my high school coaches, my Maryland coaches, and of course my U.S. coaches for all that they taught me, all that they've trusted in me, and for their continued friendships. I'm very blessed to have had them as coaches in my life, and we continue to be friends, which is very special to me. I became the player I became because of all the teammates I have had over the years. Every honor, every accolade, every nomination is shared by all of us. I could have never have been the player I was without all of them making me better, making me the best I could have ever been, and making me look good. Like she said, we wouldn't have those assists if she wasn't burying every shot. So, and it wasn't just her, but it was a team full of ridiculously amazing players. John Wooden said it best: the main ingredient of stardom is the rest of the team, and I have been very lucky to be part of those amazingly talented teams and very close-knit teams. So with my transition from player to coach, I think this is one of the more exciting times in my life, and I want to thank once teammate, once assistant coach, now colleague slash boss, Kathy. Thank you so much for bringing me back to the University of Maryland, where a piece of my heart has never left. You know what they say, once a chirp, always a chirp. Thank you for being inspiring and trusting. Thank you for bringing me back to Maryland to meet Matt. I love my job, and you're a huge reason why that is so. 3 other reasons why are Kenneth and Brian and our Terps, and I just feel blessed every day. The Maryland family is something very special and very rare, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with all of you. The 2 people that I literally wouldn't be here without, my mom and my dad, there aren't words in the English language to explain how much you mean to me. All of your unconditional support, immeasurable sacrifices over the years, and infinite love. The pride I see reflected in your eyes have given me a sense of pride and confidence. I love you both. Lastly, my Matt. With all of these wonderful people over the years in my life, I thought I had it all, and then I met you. You're amazing and wonderful, and I'm so lucky to have you in my life. Thank you so much again to the Potomac chapter, and I will always remember this night.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Congratulations. All right, now it's Homer's turn.
All right. I'll tell you, it's getting pretty amazing. I have a question. Kathy, did you 2 ever play together? Wow. If you want to read some, like guys are all about statistics. Pat tells me girls aren't about statistics. Read the statistics of Kathy and Quinn and and Jen Adams, who we inducted a couple years ago. Unbelievable. They never lost a game. High school, college, unbelievable. So we are no longer in our area taking a backseat to anybody as far as players. And, you know, we've first recognized the people who put the foundation together, and now we're getting to recognize the players. So you've seen 2 so far, and I'm going to bring up another one. Scott Urick, great player at all levels. High school at Robinson, attackman at Georgetown University, in the MLL, and he played in the World Games on the USA team. Now, one thing I remember, we went up to Canada. It was Ontario, and it was 100 degrees up there for 5 straight days. Scott played on a team with the 3 Powell brothers. Any coach who puts the 3 Powell brothers on the field at the same time is crazy. But they did. Scott outscored them all. He scored 20 goals in the series, leading scorer. I'd take him over any of them any day. So they're the kind of people we're turning out now. He's a competitive and a compassionate coach. The kids all love him. Been to Georgetown, what, 11 years now? Coaching with his dad. Dave and I have many stories. Scott and I are working on a few stories. So I won't tell any of them. But Dave and I are good friends from way back through Jerry Schmidt, who I played with and Dave coached with, and we have many, many Jerry stories. And now we're going to have some Scott stories coming up. So another outstanding player from our area, bringing up for induction, Scott Urick.
Thank you, guys, and obviously thank you to U.S. Lacrosse, and certainly very honored to be recognized like this, and thank you, Homer, that was awfully nice to say. Again, appreciate all that, and as these other inductees mentioned, and again, congrats to them. And I love the halftime snack idea. I wish I'd thought of that years ago. That's brilliant. But congratulations, of course, to you guys as well, and especially Andy. Andy and I, as he alluded to, we were high school teammates, and I can tell you the selection committee did not pick me based on the amount of goals I scored on Andy in practice. He was something else for those of us that got to see him play. He really was a tremendous player. So. But again, as these other inductees mentioned, you know, we got into the sport of lacrosse for a lot of reasons, but it is a team sport. You know, we didn't get into wrestling or swimming or individualistic sports for obvious reasons. We enjoyed being a part of a team, and you don't reach any real measure of success without a lot of help along the way, and I'm certainly no exception to that. And so I certainly wanted to recognize a few people that helped me get to the levels I was able to reach athletically. And for me, it all starts with your teammates, and I've been really blessed to play with just tremendous people and guys that I'll be friends with forever, and really made my experience what it was. And, you know, guys, you know, through Georgetown and the New Jersey Pride and Robinson High School and the MLL and so on and so forth. But different teammates of mine, you know, provided different motivation in different aspects to my game. And just like any good team has different components, you know, that's kind of the way that it worked. And I had friends like Christian Cook and Dan Shamati with the Pride, who were just such dedicated individuals and really strive to get to their highest potential, and were inspirational to me in that respect. And I considered myself pretty dedicated and committed. I met those guys, and I'm like, wow, okay, I have maybe another level here I can reach. And certainly at Georgetown, a player like Greg McCavro, who, for those of you who have been around here long enough to have seen Greg in his prime, and just a tremendous athlete, tremendous player. And I mean, I have some nice records and accolades from Georgetown, but without Gregory to play alongside of it, would have just been another guy on the roster as far as I'm concerned. And that's, again, why we do this. It's the team sport, and maybe as important as anything, you know, friends of mine like Christian Walker and Mac Hammer, which were my friends from high school, and then kind of bookending my career with the USA team, Kevin Cassis. Those guys are just great people, fun-loving people who really reminded me that this is a game and this is fun. And that's why we do it. It can get lost in the mix sometimes. Kevin and I playing the USA team, when you're competing for a world championship and you're trying to play at the highest level, you can forget that it's a game and it's fun. And Kevin is just such a tremendous person and really brought it back around for me, as Mac and Christian did throughout my career too. This is fun. We're still kids. We're playing a kid's game, and that was important to me. And for obvious reasons, I'm a little partial to coaches, and I've been fortunate, again, to play for just some tremendous people. And Andy already touched on this, but I'm going to embarrass Tom as well. And Coach Tufts was obviously an inductee here several years ago. And to put it bluntly, Tom is just one of the best people I've ever had the pleasure of getting to know. And he was just an unbelievable role model for his kids. And I can't thank Tom enough for just really what he set as a standard for us to try and achieve, which I've fallen well short of. Andy's a little closer than me, but I'm getting there. I'm working still to this day, so hopefully we'll get there at some point. But I certainly wanted to thank Tom for that. He's just a great person. And then moving on to Georgetown, I had the chance to play for two great assistant coaches while I was there, Rick Sohl and then Matt Kerwick, and very different personalities, different coaching styles, but I learned a lot from both of those guys and still do, to be honest. And they're, again, great people. And then moving on to the Pride, I played for a man named Ted Georgalis, who took a chance on me. I mean, in the inaugural MLL draft, I got taken ahead of some guys that were Players of the Year and Attackman of the Year. And there's one famous article, well, famous amongst the Urick family, from a gentleman who mentioned I might have been selected maybe a little prematurely in that draft. And I held on to that article for several years. My mom probably still has it somewhere filed away. But Ted took a chance on me, and I really appreciated the opportunity he gave me for sure, and I wanted to thank him as well. And we'll circle back to thank yous in 1 minute, but I did want to tell you guys one quick anecdote from Georgetown, just because I was thinking about this today, actually, when I was going for a run. It just popped in my head, but it was my first practice at Georgetown. And so I came out of Robinson High School. I was pretty excited to get to Georgetown, to put it mildly. And they were just kind of coming onto the national scene at that point. I mean, ready to compete for a championship, for playoff berths, those types of things. And I was pretty amped up for my first day of practice. And back then we practiced in the mornings. It was 7:30 Tuesday morning. I was up and at 'em at about 5 o'clock, maybe 5:15, just racing around my dorm room. We get up to the field. I can't wait to get this thing going. I feel in my mind I'm going to earn my starting position like from stretches, like right then. So we finally get through stretches and we're doing this full field stick work, just to get loose. Practice really hasn't quite started. But I come out of there like a freaking bat out of Hades, out of this full field. So I'm running full speed, and at the end of the field, basically you're just supposed to kind of place the ball in the goal and then congregate behind the net. But not me. I've got visions of making the man-up team basically right here. So I pull up from about 12 yards and just uncork this shot. I mean, it's by far the fastest I'd ever shot a lacrosse ball at that point in my career. And just ring crossbar right back and just drills me in the face. Like, at least twice as fast as I had shot it. Right off my feet. My shoulder blades are the first thing to hit the ground. And Coach happens to be walking right by me, /dad. And looks down at me and he goes, "I can't wait to tell Coach Tufts about this." And I was like, not exactly the auspicious start I was hoping for my college career. But luckily things picked up a little bit from there, and obviously I ended up having a tremendous experience at Georgetown, and couldn't have asked for anything more. And I've got the privilege now of working there and explaining to young men who are recruiting just really what a special place Georgetown is and what it has to offer in all respects. And they really were the best times of my life. And kind of with that being said, through everything, and it's really a nice write-up, and Homer had such nice things to say, but those accomplishments really would have meant nothing to me without my family being there alongside me for it all. And these people, Andy and such, have touched on it already, but really that is what makes the experience as far as I'm concerned. And my wife, Peggy, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, but she came into my life towards the tail end of my career, and Peggy doesn't have a real strong athletic background, to put it bluntly, but she was awfully supportive and understanding of the time and effort it was going to take me to reach the goals I had set for myself, and I certainly appreciate her allowing that to happen. And I'm also blessed to be related to probably the three most supportive people on the planet. My mother and Sister Holly and Sister Mindy are just unbelievable people and have been there every step of the way, and sacrificed just so much of their own time and effort and energy to be a part of what I was doing, that it really just meant the world to me, and I can't thank them enough for that. It wouldn't have been the same without you guys there. And one last coach to thank, my father, who he's worn a lot of different hats for me through the years. You know, he was a tremendous mentor throughout my entire life, and again, I remember being out in our front yard in Geneva, New York. We would string up water balloons into the goal we had in the front yard and try and break those. And then, you know, through playing at Georgetown, we had a few more advanced techniques at Georgetown than that to try and improve on our what we had to offer there. But I mean, how do you thank someone for a lifetime of dedication and commitment? I don't know how to do that other than to say just a genuine thank you for everything. And my experience would have been diminished by, you know, a factor of 10 without you alongside for the whole ride. So thank you very much, sir.
I'll get you in free next year.
Oh, nice. I can serve drinks too.
All right, congratulations.
Have any firsthand knowledge at all of the person that I have to stand up here and speak about. And I'm thinking, what is that about? How am I supposed to do this? I said, who is this Sophie person? Because I'd never, ever met Sophie, never seen her play, never talked to her. So I said, well, what's, you know, you can read all about her accomplishments in the program, and I hope everybody does. There's some magnificent bios of all of the inductees, and Pat McCardle, we have to thank you for that. I'll do a side note, and Pat does all the write-ups every year for all of the inductees and does a fantastic job on that. But then I figured, well, who best to talk to about a player than their former teammates and coach? So I made a couple of phone calls and did a little investigating. And from her teammates, I heard about a player who was a calm presence, both on and off the field, and a young player who was pretty mature beyond her years. She was someone who was always willing to help them be better players, whether it was working with them to do ground ball pickups or dishing out assists to them during games, whatever it took, she was willing to help them become better players. Although I have to say that one of her teammates did tell me that the teammate made Sophie the star she was by giving out all the assists to Sophie. So, and Sophie, I'm going to let you figure out which of your teammates over there is the one who said that remark. So, Sophie's coach at National Cathedral School was the legendary Gene Hancock. And on another side note, Gene has traveled all the way from the great state of Vermont to be here tonight to honor her former player, Sophie, and come and join some of her other teammates here tonight. So, Gene, we thank you for making that effort and coming all that way to be with us. Gene was one of the very first people that I met, along with Susan Merritt and probably Kathy Jenkins, when I started my career in officiating way back when. So, very fond memories of going to NCS and seeing Gene and Susan and having a great time over there with them. Well, in talking to Jean, she admitted to me that when she started coaching at NCS, she knew nothing about women's lacrosse. Nothing. Hadn't played it, hadn't ever coached it. She was kind of like Kathy Jenkins in that regard. Didn't know anything about it. Sophie, on the other hand, had been playing for a number of years. And a little intimidating, but as Jean put it, it was delightful and frightening at the same time to have your player know more than you knew. But thankfully, Sophie continued to play even after Jean made her put on the goalie pads, get in the goal, and take a turn to learn what it was like to stand there and have people shoot balls at you. Jean said she can still remember Sophie yelling and screaming, and she can hear that memory from way back when. But she also said that Sophie was the player who skipped lunch, would grab a ball in her stick, and go play wall ball, which to me was amazing back in that day. Sophie, you played with a wooden stick. I can see it from your pictures. So wall ball, I don't think was the thing back there, maybe for the guys, but certainly not for the girls. So that was quite something to hear, that a player in that era was willing to do that hard work. She was a quiet team leader who never wanted to draw attention to herself. And as one of her teammates said to me, she was understated, but by far the best. And I'm disappointed, I have to say, that I never saw Sophie in action, but it's my privilege tonight to have Sophie come up and join us and be inducted into the Potomac Chapter Hall of Fame. Sophie.
Wow, thank you, Pat. And what a wonderful event. Thank you to the folks at the Potomac chapter, especially Homer, who I haven't met officially, but we've corresponded, and Pat Dillon, who've done such a great job of organizing and preparing us for tonight. And many thanks to all the volunteers and members of the chapter for this special evening. I'm so happy to see so many old friends, most of whom are over here, and honored to be listed among such an impressive group of players and coaches. Reading the names of past inductees is like walking down memory lane. I distinctly remember Kathy Jenkins. Where are you, Kathy? There you are. Coaching yet another highly skilled St. Agnes team. Back in 1979, you all crushed us 8-0. I still remember that, 8-0. Some things never change, I think. Sue Merritt, Ann Monahan, Elaine Knobloch, Ann Weaver, Kim Hutcherson, all names and past inductees. All were great coaches, mentors, and friends to me over the years, and I'm humbled and honored to be in their company, and especially want to congratulate my fellow inductees. When Homer sent us the questionnaire that he asked all Hall of Fame inductees to fill out, the questions reminded me how far women's lacrosse has come in the last 33 years. In 1978, when I started playing as a sophomore at NCS, I played tennis, Jean. Remember, I played tennis my freshman year. I don't know what that was about. But I started playing as a sophomore, and we shared the field with the softball team. Our goal cages were in the corner at an angle because the softball team had to have their space. And of course, you'll remember the women's game had natural boundaries back then. We were a young program, about 2 or 3 years old, and many players, including myself, were beginners. I don't know why you thought I knew more than you. I just was a beginner. Yeah, but I think in my head, obviously, yeah. We all played with wooden crosses from Patterson. And we wore mouth guards for the first time when I was a junior. I remember that it was kind of a new thing to wear mouth guards in 1979. We didn't have club teams, thankfully. We didn't have state championships or name high school All-Americans. There was one camp that everyone went to, Meerstedt, field hockey and lacrosse camp, and everybody played both sports. You played field hockey and lacrosse all week long. It was a week. It wasn't just 3 days. Since women's athletics weren't part of the NCAA in 1979, if you wanted to play in college, at least this was my experience, you went to the college of your choice. For me, it was the University of Virginia in the winter of your senior year, and you did a scholarship tryout. And for 2 days, I remember we went down, and Jean came with me and to watch. Yeah, you were there. And we put numbers on our back, and I think they had 2 scholarships to give or whatever. And that is how you tried out. I don't know. That might be a good thing. And you hope that you were one of those 2 girls. My parents were just happy that I had found a sport that I loved. They never put any pressure on me. I think they were very puzzled when I would retreat across the street. We lived across the street from St. Albans School, and I actually would go to the baseball pitchback and throw against the pitchback at St. Albans. And Bob Brown, who was a longtime baseball coach and good friend, you know, he still kind of kids me about that. But that's where I cut my teeth, on the St. Albans baseball pitchback. So much has changed since then. My son Chapin, who is a sophomore midfielder at Denison, started playing when he was 5. He begged to be able to play on the club and travel teams when he was 10, and he played alongside his brother Carter, a goalie, on travel teams and in middle school. Their sister Virginia, who's here tonight, plays on a club team that I coach. We just had a tournament today in Baltimore. All 3 play in the summer and exhaust our budget with recruiting camps and tournaments. Chapin was recruited by D1 and D3 schools, and we endured that long gut-wrenching process, as well as the thrill of watching Stab beat St. Stephen's St. Agnes for one of 2 state championships. Sorry, Andy. What's kind of fun is that Chapin's best friend at Denison is Chip Phillips, who played for Andy at St. Stephen's St. Agnes. So, and they actually talked seriously about coming tonight, both of them, but Denison is playing their fall ball scrimmage tonight. So we're lucky they did, yeah. That lacrosse might be considered a full-time job is a very real concern for college-bound players. So different from the more relaxed days when I played at UVA with no fall ball and a season that began in March down at William & Mary for a spring fling. I won't even begin to talk about parents today, except to say I'm sure I'm not the only one in this room who has had to remind parents about being positive on the sidelines, to not harass the officials, and to let their child drive the recruiting process, not the other way around. But so much is still the same. Thanks to the efforts of organizations like the Potomac chapter, the game is still beautiful when it's played and officiated well. Players are still passionate and love the speed, the stick skills, and the teamwork required to move the ball downfield. The life lessons that we learn to work together to achieve a common goal, how to win and lose gracefully, and how to deal with disappointment and failure are ever present and more important than ever. Of course, my favorite memories of the game are about the people with whom I played and who I played for. 2 of my NCS teammates are here tonight, Annie Mathiasen Farquhar and Sarah Coughlin-Noon. Annie played at Trinity, and Sarah played at Connecticut College and now working at US Lacrosse, and has a daughter playing at William & Mary. While I don't remember the big plays, although I think Sarah did remind me that I did feed her. Yes, I am responsible. Or you fed me. That's what you did. You fed me. But you know what I remember, Sarah, more? I remember the encouragement that you all gave me. I think I was a freak. I really do think I was a freak. I was obsessed with the sport, and you guys put up with that. The hugs and the high fives, the inside jokes and the laughter on the bus rides home, and the positive coaching we received from Jean Hancock. You know, Jean surprised us tonight. We weren't expecting her to be here. She walked in, that was us making a big fuss over her in the other room. Jean was a second mom to us, fun and funny, and was the perfect person to introduce us to the sport. It was Jean's idea to bus us up to Hopkins one spring evening to see the U.S. women play England in an exhibition. And that is where I first saw Jane Diamond, Sandy Hoodie, and Candy Finn, who, if you know who I'm talking about, you know that those were the players of the day. And I remember saying to myself, leaving Homewood Field, I want to play on the U.S. team. And that was because you said, hey, we're going up to Hopkins, and we're going to see the U.S. team play England. So your passion and love of the game, Jean, resonate every time I see a young girl on my middle school teams or my JV teams pick up a stick and tell me how much they love lacrosse. So thank you for everything. My coaches at UVA, Linda Southworth, Lou Moore, Julie Dayton, and Jane Miller, set the bar high for us. And this intensity and focus helped me make the U.S. team in 1982. The UVA teams I played on were right on the cusp of the dynasty that Jane created in the mid-'80s. And then I was honored to play for Jackie Pitts and Josie Harper on the U.S. squad for 3 years. Somehow they recognized the potential in a scrawny attacker from Washington, D.C., a place far from the hotbeds of Philly and New Jersey. And I'm grateful for the opportunity they gave me, as well as my colleagues at Roland Park Country School, where I cut my teeth as a 21-year-old teacher and varsity lacrosse coach. That was a big job. I have been a teacher and a school counselor and a lacrosse coach for the past 17 years at St. Anne's Belfield. And I have been blessed to have been able to combine my two great passions, helping adolescents achieve their potential, and lacrosse, into a career that I love. My children have been fortunate to have been able to play for some of the greatest coaches in the game while at St. Anne's Belfield. Mary King Blake, who coached Bethany File. Bethany is married to Andy Taibl, and Bethany was one of my students at St. Anne's Belfield. Doug Taring, Rodney Ruhlman, Bo Perriello. These people are more than colleagues. They are dear friends who share the same commitment to the sport as I, and I am determined to pass along their wisdom, love of the game, and passion to the next generation. In this room and across the country, there are more stories just like mine, that lacrosse forged a connection that runs deep and weaves together teammates, coaches, officials, and fans into a family. Lacrosse has nurtured careers, marriages, friendships, and families, and continues to change lives every day. This Hall of Fame honor is a lovely gesture. I share it with my parents, who were the perfect lax parents. They were supportive, encouraging, happy to come watch a game or not. It was great. They didn't hover, but instead let me discover my passion and run with it. I wish they could be here tonight. My mom is dealing with some health issues in Charlottesville. My dad recently passed away after a long illness. But they are here in spirit, I know. My husband, Rusty, is at Denison tonight at my behest, watching Chapin play in his fall scrimmage. But I'm thrilled that Virginia is here. I'm thrilled she's here to meet my friends and former teammates. She endured our storytelling at dinner. But she is part of the next group of young players whom we must mentor, encourage to give back, and constantly remind that the sport of lacrosse is more than a game. It is about love. It is about love of competition, love of tradition, and love of team. Thank you.
And it's Homer again.
I'm back.
There you're back.
Let's get out of here.
The bar's not open yet until I finish my last joke. That's a great story. And by the way, one really important thing, thanks to Sarah, we videotape all these presentations, and I got an email from Sophie and her mom that her mom wouldn't be able to travel. I said, well, that's okay. We'll send you a video, and you can enjoy it vicariously with Sophie and the kids sitting in your home. But what a wonderful bunch of people. Very moving note, very, very moving people. And we're so glad to have them a part of our inductees in the Hall of Fame. But the player, like I said, girls aren't about statistics, but you read about Sophie and Quinn and Kathy and all the others in our Hall of Fame. It's unbelievable. Pat McCardle, who I hope we don't lose to a speechwriter to the White House, he writes all those articles that you're reading in there and on the posters. So I get to see him very early as he puts them together to work out with the printer. And I learn all these things, and I'm going, wow. So we're on the map. They know where the Washington, D.C. Potomac chapter players are. And they also knew who are the people who started it all. And so we don't always save the best for last. In this case, we do. In that sense. I'll talk about Bruce Baschuk just a little bit. I remember Bruce when he started. You can read about him in there. His whole family's here tonight. My first encounter with him was as a coach at John Carroll. He was the coach, I was a referee. He had a lot of football players on that team. I go, you can't do that. They go, oh, you can? I said, well, go ask your coach. And he'd tell them, I'm not sure what he told them, to tell you the truth. But anyway, Bruce is one of the people who are the founders and the bedrock of lacrosse in the Washington, D.C. area. And we're recognizing him tonight as one of those persons. He started the Winners Lacrosse Club, which began to teach and make available lacrosse to all the inner city people, kids, girls, and boys. He started the Bridge program, which then took that Washington, D.C. experience for kids across the country to other major metropolitan areas. So he has contributed so much to the game that it is my pleasure to bring up and introduce Bruce Baschuk for induction into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Thank you, Homer. And thanks to all the members of the nominating committee and the board of U.S. Lacrosse here regionally, especially Pat McCardle, Pat Dillon, and many others who do so much work for the sport in our region. I'd like to thank all of our friends and family who are here tonight and congratulate especially my co-inductees for very impressive careers that you've enjoyed. You know, I was introduced to this sport when I was asked to remain over spring vacation involuntarily at boarding school for disciplinary reasons. So I'm there with 3 other guys. 2 of them are on the varsity, and they taught me the game. We played solid for a week, 6 hours a day. And I fell in love with the game. And I was smitten. It was a passion that kept me in school as I bumped around the halls of higher education for the next 10 years. I was not a model student. As my friend Dave Urick said, Bruce, I wouldn't be so tough on yourself. You found something you were really good at, being a freshman, and you stuck with it. Thanks, Dave. It kept me in school. I played club wherever I could find a game. And I finished my varsity career at Alfred University, where I met the love of my life, Kate Keogh, who from being from Arundecoit, New York, liked lacrosse players naturally. I was the last in a long line of suitors who was lucky enough to marry her 35 years ago. We moved to D.C. in 1981 and started our family. After meeting my friend Pat McCardle, and Dan McAsee playing for Pat's team, Dan and I joined Tom McHugh's ALC club ball, where I reached the pinnacle of a mediocre career under the tutelage of Tom Tufts. May I ask my fellow members of the ALC team to please rise? I think there's a few of you knuckleheads out here. Many,
Are you standing up?
Men, tough. Hopefully you've met some of these. If you haven't, you got plenty of time when the bar opens in a few minutes. Each of these individuals that I played with became very strong friends. And if you don't know, many of them have coached, reffed, and supported the game in their communities to an extraordinary degree. And most importantly, they live up to our motto. You can only be young once, but you can be immature forever. So imagine you haven't been here since your 8th grade trip. We move here, and I meet this group. This was our introduction to Washington, D.C. And we were lucky because we had a great foundation under us. And this is the game of lacrosse, of course, whether it's us or somebody else. So I was talking to Tom Tufts last week. You know, he's up chopping wood, and I got him out of the barn up in Maine. And I said, hey, Coach, this is amazing. All 3 of the male inductees this year played for you. It's phenomenal. And his... And I'm not going to do it justice, but in his laconic New England accent, he says, well, that's right. And thinking back, you all had something in common. You were slow. I said, come on, Tom. But that's the thing about Tom is, I'm ready to go out and run a lap after I hang up the phone. You know, that's the way he motivated you. So after hanging up the cleats, I was fortunate enough to coach and watch all of my kids who are here tonight play. Most of them into college, and in one case, I got to watch a Division I Final Four with my kid on the sideline, which was pretty exciting. With some friends, we started Winners Lacrosse a number of years ago, about 10, 12 years ago, a number of whom are here tonight. And when people say, well, why did you start that program? Well, what motivated you to start this? I'll tell them that I wanted to give them, any kids, back the opportunity that we had who didn't have the opportunity to enjoy this terrific game. You know, Thomas Jones is one of the coaches over in the corner. He played in Washington, D.C., but only because somebody sent him away to prep school. He found the game, played at Princeton, and then we ended up coaching together. You know, I mean, that was magical. They might never have been able to go to some of the schools that they're in. You know, Winners Lacrosse introduces kids under Matt Breslin's tutelage now as our new executive director. And Tom McHugh, of course, who's taken over as the chairman and finally got the thing out of a rut. And many others. We just completed our 12th year and raised so far over $1 million to support kids in the community. And it's a tribute to the many people that are involved in the program that, you know, the first year, the White family is here, and their other son, Ian, who wasn't able to join us tonight, he came out with my daughter, Caitlin, and they were in my first winners camp. We had it at Carroll. And all 3 of them stayed all week. 3 of them. There was one other kid, well, I've lost touch with that one. But Caitlin, Ian, and this other kid, now we have 500 kids a year in camps and programs throughout the city. I got my coaching start at the suggestion of my buddy Kurt Voorhees, the other half of the Beef brothers on the team, who connected me with Pete Behor and founded the program at Gonzaga, where I helped him for 3 years. After Gonzaga, Pete joined Alex Green, my partner at J Street, TJ, and John McKinnon. We started a program at Archbishop Carroll. Carroll was an amazing experience, and really, if the bar wasn't going to be open in a few minutes, I'd go on for a long time. The team was organized by this kid. He was a junior, Brandon Best, and he just banged on the athletic director and banged on the kids in his school until it happened. And we showed up, and there were 20 kids, half seniors, half underclassmen. 3 of them had played the game. But as Homer said, we had some athletes, including Tony White, the football captain, quarterback, who was a terrific kid, and Rob White, who was our captain, not related, but both stars. These guys, by the way, Rob will be available in the lobby afterwards, signing the autographs of the Washington Post article he was featured in. He was the guy with the Jack biceps and a sports section. Those kids surprised some people the first year. We went 5-5, and when we lost to Georgetown Prep's JV team 10-9, I think we sent a message to some people that, you know, you don't have to be a kid playing this game for years to get in the game. Now, it didn't hurt that one of our kids had 9 goals, and he went on to play at Hobart and Syracuse. And he ran a 4.3 40, and that was just good coaching, though. One of our other favorite stories is a fellow named Leon Bourne. I'm sorry he's not here tonight. Leon was the guy who you always said, you know, this guy is so skinny, he has to run around in the shower to get wet. He was 100 pounds dripping wet. We put him in the weight room with Alex Green. I mean, if you haven't met Alex, Alex is he's 250 pounds. He's in the weight room with these kids. He's pushing the iron up. Leon is on the bench, and he cannot get the bar off his chest. And of course, guys are really compassionate, right? So everybody's ridiculing the poor kid. Fast forward, 4 years later, Leon gets recruited to go to Lynchburg. Starts for Lynchburg. They're a top 10 team. And he's a personal trainer. He benches 250 today. And one of the nicest kids you'll ever meet in your life. And one day, my buddy Leon, this is when he was a freshman, he's 14 years old. I didn't realize this in the job description, but I was also the bus driver. So I'm driving the kids to the game. And after this particular game, I don't know whether we won or lost. It never really mattered much. We had a great time. These kids were so creative. They created a rap song on the way back with a story about the game that we had just been in. And they've got it going in the back. I mean, the bus is rocking, and I'm gyrating in the front seat, you know? And so Leon looks at me. Leon's over here. He's about this big. He says, "Hey, Coach, you ain't white. You just been bleached." I said, "I'm in the club. I'm in the club." And we had so much fun with this group of kids. They went to Syracuse, Hobart, Drexel, Trinity, Lynchburg, I mentioned, Salisbury. More importantly for the coaches, Coach Behor, McKinnon, Jones, Green, myself, and Dub. They changed our lives. Because, you know, you have perceptions of what people are like and what's troubling the world, what's happening. And yeah, a lot of these kids came from some troubled backgrounds, I should say, or families are different, but a lot of them didn't. They came from rock-solid backgrounds, and despite whatever challenges they had, these kids did things that were just, they're mind-blowing to me. I mean, Rob put himself through law school. He's working for Eleanor Holmes Norton. You know, this is a kid that was doing okay, but not that well in school, and really busted out. Tony, my pride and joy, he's a firefighter with the District of Columbia. He's just had his second child and married just beautiful woman, Nicole. And, you know, every once in a while I'll get a call. Alex will get a call from one of these kids. "Hey, Coach." You know, and it's some stupid question. And then many of you coaches in this room have gotten the same calls. You know, but when I say stupid question, you're thinking stupid question because you forget you're not 20 years old again, you know, and then you sit down and you listen to them because you're in the middle of something. And it is just such an enjoyable experience that we were blessed with. And they've become attorneys, construction managers, and husbands and parents. And like any other coaches, we've been blessed by this game. It is and should be treated, as the Native Americans call it, a gift from our Creator. Thank all of you for being here tonight and helping me celebrate that gift.
There you have one of the great ones. I mean, that's what this game is all about. Whether you're a player or a coach, I mean, he couldn't tell it any better than that. That's what you get out of the game. That's what you give back to the game. And I love seeing all the places or faces around here. But I tell you, when I walked down that field and saw you guys in that team, I'm going, whoa. Well, they were all the little guys.
Right here.
Which reminds me, if you look in the program, one of the ways we do this to keep the costs down, so it makes it a great night, is there what we call them patronads, but they're people who want to celebrate the people being inducted. So there's the inductee bio, and on the page opposite, and if you look at Bruce's page, you'll see those crazy guys in Hawaiian shirts. So I want to make sure you guys are all around after this is over so we get another picture. We got one when McHugh went in, we'll get another one now, but it's fantastic. The Hawaiian shirts and ties I will never forget. And there's a great picture in there of that ad in there. So, but mostly thanks to everyone who took out a patron ad for thanking and congratulating the inductees. So that's the end of my stories. That's the end of the night. The bar's back open. Let's go tell stories and celebrate. Thank you. I do need all the members of this year's class back up here.